Where did Jesus point to find the ideal marriage? The quick answer to the question, where did Jesus point to find the ideal marriage, is to the beginning. So where in the Hebrew Bible would you turn to find a good example of marriage? Abraham and Sarah? Jacob, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, Zilpah? David and Bathsheba? Solomon and his 700?
No.
Where should we look in Scripture to find the ideal marriage? Now, when Jesus was questioned by the Pharisees about Moses allowing divorce, he took a strong stand. We read his words in Matthew 19, where Jesus states, "Haven't you read that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate.'" Jesus replied, "Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning." So here we have 2 times Jesus revealed his point of reference. In the beginning, before sin, before corruption came in, this is God's pattern that he set out. Anything after the beginning reflects broken culture, the sinful world, the fallen family. So Jesus pointed to the first marriage before the fall as the model for God's design for marriage. We must study and meditate on the significance of God's design and commission of the first man and woman. We must keep this blessed and strong, powerful alliance firmly in our mind, because so many other voices call out, tempting us to change, tempting us to conform, when Jesus points us to the beginning.
Jesus understands what has happened because of the fallen family. He, as the Creator, knew how he created the relationship between men and women. He knew at the beginning marriage, a man and a woman, and then after there's population for men and women in the church in the redeemed community, how they could work together and show a new kingdom ethic. He saw the way that the fall could impact and would impact and will continue to impact cultures in a negative way. Now, culture screams loudly. It screams so loudly. I'm reminded of Genesis 3, where Satan says, "Did God really say?" This is what culture does. It causes us to say, "Did God really say it's supposed to be this way?" Perhaps your culture goes back centuries or even millennia. The ways the men and women relate in your society may be so ingrained that, apart from God's direct intervention, nothing about your culture will ever change. Or perhaps media or entertainment or elite intellectuals challenge and attack everything your culture previously believed regarding men and women. Things are shifting so very radically that apart from God's intervention, the moral fabric of your society seems to be ripping apart. Whether you come from a society that seems like unthinking concrete, pulling you backward, or from a culture that has lost its solid foundation, progressively moving forward into absurdity, only God can guide you. When culture screams, "This is the way," or "Did God really say?" to whom will you listen? Jesus gives us a great model and tells us to look at the beginning, not because it's at the beginning that it's more important, but it's because it's before sin ever entered into the world.
So let's look at the Matthew 19 passage and point out a few of the teaching points of Jesus. Among the first teaching points is, God is greater than Moses. His authority is greater. Also, God created humans as male and female. That's the differentiation.
The Creator's original plan came first. It's what God wanted when no sin was there, perfect harmony between men and women. And this is still what He's looking for today. Every culture in the world will be weighed against God's standards because God has set those standards.
Also, God's plan aims for unity and oneness. And certain practices like divorce, they exist not because of God's design, but because of sin.
And in Matthew 19, when Jesus refers back to the Genesis account, he mentions again that men are to leave their father and mother, but the biblical text does not say that women are to leave their father and mother. So, like Jesus, we also must keep our eyes on God's original plan. Because of Jesus, the redeemed family has the possibility to live as God intends again. In Genesis 1 and 2, man and woman, equal strengths. In Genesis 3, unequal and dominion that goes one way. But Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection makes it possible again for men and women to again collaborate together for God's purposes, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, united in purpose. God desires for men and women to love and lead together as equal strengths. Together, they are to demonstrate God's peace, power, honor, harmony, and holiness.
So with these thoughts, just take a few moments and consider, what does this teach you about the character and nature of God? What does it show you about the character and nature of people? What is one thing today that you can obey? And who can you share this with? Until all know, run with it.